Airbnb is back in the design game. From looking very boring, bland, flat, and corporate-y, now they're back with a flair. With their new rooms feature and things like their dial to select the number of months and the owner passport, the new app looks so refreshing. And I'm so glad right now the design is about making things pop out of the screen because they look amazing with all the gradients, shadows, and colors. There was no need for Airbnb to go out of the way and make a dial to select the number of months a person wants to stay. They could have just put an plus and minus buttons and called it a day, but they made the interaction delightful. Design is not always about problem solving or efficiency. It primarily is both of those things, but sometimes design is about what people remember while interacting with your product. Design is sometimes about evoking an emotion, and with those colors, gradients, and that kind of interaction, Airbnb has successfully evoked a positive emotion with a lot of people. Those interactions may not be the perfect way of doing those things, may not even be the most accessible thing to do, but they for sure work. So after seeing that passport animation by Airbnb, I wanted to make that myself, like any other UX UI designer. So I opened up Figma, I tried to make it, and I failed. Because Figma does not have the 3D interaction or 3D movement attribute for their shapes. So I could not make it in Figma. So I made the basic design in Figma for which I wanted to use the interaction for. And then I looked around to see what I can use to make that interaction happen. So Adobe XD was a choice. But being a Figma user, I could not commit that cardinal sin. So I looked around more and I found out about Protopie. I've heard a lot about it and I've seen some amazing interactions and prototypes being made with Protopie. So I thought maybe this is a time when I actually learn a new skill and use Protopie to make this amazing interaction. So let's get started with the tutorial and see how we can use Figma and Protopie to make this book flipping animation. So this is the design I made in Figma to prototype, but I realized that a lot of things could not directly translate to Protopie. I'll show what I mean by that. So if you just open a Protopie and click on New Pie, it'll open up a preview of your interaction or prototype, and it'll open a design window. So what you can do is just click on the whole frame. I'm gonna control// to find the plugin called Protopie, and then just click on export. Now, as you can see on Protopie, it imported the whole design from Figma directly, but there were a few things I wanted to change. So whatever I wanted to animate, I did not already add it to Figma because otherwise it'll export it as a single image. Like let's say I wanted to animate a drop shadow on Protopie, but if I put in already on Figma and export again, now this time this is a whole image altogether, which does not work for me because I want to change the drop shadow. So that's why whatever I want to animate, I would not design it on Figma and just make it very basic and bring it into Protopie to change it afterwards. Also, one more thing, Protopie does not have inner shadows, so I was not able to make it look too realistic because the inner shadows technically should change when the book flips, so I could not do it in Protopie. That's why I did not put any inner shadows on Figma anyways. So to make the interaction work in Protopie, what you want is a page behind the first page, like maybe an introduction or something for the book, so that when this slightly opens up, you can see something behind it and it's not just the background. So what you want to do is probably get the first page of the book and size it the same as the cover page. Just make sure it lines up. Take both of them, Control G, so that it makes a container. And you can see it's completely covered by the cover page. Now what we can do is we can add a shadow to the container. Let's make it somewhere around this color, and increase the blur. Oh. Messed up. Yeah. We increase the blur, bring it down a bit, decrease the opacity. So now we're ready to make the animation. What I'm gonna do next is add a trigger. So let's say on mouse over, which is when the mouse comes over the thing, I want to add a trigger. So mouse over container 1, which is this. So I'll just rename it, let's say book. So whenever the mouse is over the book, it should 3D rotate the cover page. I'll rename it, and you should always name your layers properly for ease. And let's make it first page. So I want to 3D rotate the cover page, and I want to rotate by, so 30 degrees is towards the back. So to bring it forward, I want to make it -30, and I'll see it on the preview. So you can see it comes towards you. Whereas if I make it 30, it'll go towards the back. So you want it -30. Another thing what you can notice is that it's rotating from the top, like it's as if you're looking at the book from the top. So to not have it do that, you're gonna go to book, select the book, and make the origin in the middle. Same for the cover page, so that now when you hover, it's opening from the middle of the book. And next is I want to restart this animation, and you can't see the back page when it opens once. Like before that, then I would just put mouse out and 3D rotate and rotate by +30. So this was -30 and this was +30, and again origin is already set. So but when it opens up, I can't see the back page like you can do in the Airbnb design. So like when I hover on it, it opens up, but you can't see the back. Whereas on the Airbnb passport, you can see that a little bit of the back of the passport is showing. So to do that, you can change the perspective. This is just trial and error. I just put in random values till it worked, and I see that 800 works. So I can see a bit of the thing behind when I open up. So this works for me. So I'll keep it like that. And next is I will on mouse over. So there should be a shadow on the back of the page, back of the cover page when this opens up. So to put that, I'll make it cover page. Then I'll put the same shadow, make it around 39. I'll put X as 3 because I want it on the right side, and blur as 10. So you can see now there's a shadow. Now I can tune it obviously where you feel that it works. Looks too bright. Yeah, that feels good. Make it a little more opaque. Yeah, there you go. So now I can see that there is a shadow behind the cover page, and it works as intended. So now we just have to make it open up on click. So add a trigger on tap, because this time we'll be tapping on the book. So tapping on book, so there are multiple things happening, and yeah, so it's gonna move and scale. So okay, let's move the whole book. And right now the current placement is 128. I want it somewhere in the middle, like it opens in the middle of the page like this. So to do that, let's just eyeball it, maybe 300. So okay, sorry, this should be the same. Oh, and here, yeah, so I'll just make it 350. Yeah, it looks nice. Also, you can see that it's behind the stuff, so let me just put it on the very top. So now, yeah, it's here. Now what we can do next is we want to scale it. So scale the whole book by a factor of, this is in percentage, so I want to scale it to. By is like adding to the scale, scaling to is saying scale from 100% to 150%, whereas scale by is like scale it by 100%, so it'll be 200% in the end. So scale to let's say 200, and this way if we do it in percentage, we don't need to care about, like if I actually put in the size, I'll have to care about how many pixels there are actually. So I'll have to see the size in pixels and then change it accordingly and keep the aspect ratio same and stuff. I don't want to do that, so I just put in the percentage and keep both the percentage as same. So yeah, this feels good. And then we can also move it a bit to the left. So right now it is 128. Let's make it 50. So here you go. Let me just reload it. Sometimes does that. Yeah, it works. Maybe even 30 works. Yeah, here you go. Looks fine. Now on tapping, you want the whole book to flip open. So I'm gonna add another 3D rotate, and I'm gonna put, instead of book, this time just the cover page, and rotate by, so it's now sitting at 0 degrees, right? But when you open up, it'll be like 180 degrees. So you do minus 180 and keep the perspective depth same as before, 800. And there you go, it opens up. Now another thing which might bug you is that there is like the same image is showing as a flipped image, which you won't want probably. So what we can do is we can create a rectangle which looks like the back of the cover page. So just put it in book below the cover page, but let's just set a color first for the thing. It can be anything, honestly. Yeah, this looks like back of the cover page, and I'll put it behind. Now you want to duplicate this and make it for the rectangle 302. It can be back. Let's name it back. And since you duplicated it, all the properties are the same. So now I'm gonna do it again for mouse out, make it back. There you go. Oh, right. So you can see that the back is showing from the below here. So what I'll do is, the back's origin is still top left. I have to set it as the middle. Now it looks fine. And if I click on it, so you see that the back is still here. So what you want to do is flip it over again. So same, just duplicate it and change the cover page to back, and now it opens up. Now you'll say that, oh, it's still behind it. That's because the back is behind the cover. So always, if you flip it by 180 degrees and it's again at the same position, it'll always appear behind the behind the, what do you call it, the cover page. So to do that, so to fix that, you put in reorder, and on tap you want the back to reorder on the front. So now, as soon as you click, the back gets reordered on the front, but it looks kind of jank because it happens before the book is flipped. So you want to add a delay, which is like, let's say 0.3 seconds. Okay, so the duration is 0.2. Let's make this 0.5. So now it opens up slowly, but the reorder is still kind of jank. So let's make it 0.2. Now you see it's perfect. Now the book opens up and the back comes on front before the book is fully open, and it looks like as you're seeing the back of the cover page. Now, what if you want to go back? Like, you need to go back from this page too, right? And obviously the text in the back looks too distracting. So what you would do is you go to shape and you put a background blur, and then you make a background blur and put it behind the book. So now make the opacity 0, and when you tap, make the opacity of the background blur 100%. So now when you click, the background blur appears. And I want a back button here, so you can also keep it on clicking this. Okay, let's do that. So on tap background blur, so untapping the background blur, so let's see here, you want to reset, so find reset, there it is. So you want to reset book and reset the background blur. So resetting is like, it just resets however it was before tapping. So here you go, and I click on here and it resets the book. So why it didn't flip back? Because the 3D rotate is not on the book, it's on the cover page. So you want to put reset and put cover page. Now let's see if it works. Yeah. And again reset, and same for the back of the cover page. Here you go. Now there you go. It closes back. When the book is closing, it's a little jank because the resetting of the reordering, God, so many re's. So how the reorder happens for the back of the cover page, like it's very soon before the book closes. So instead of doing this, I would delete this and like just put in 3D rotate. And since we did -180, just choose cover page and do 180, 800, duplicate, back, there you go. Now you do reorder, back, send to back, and the start delay can be 0.2 like before, and we can make all of these as 0.5 and 0.2. There we go. So you open it up, click back, open up. It still looks a little weird, so maybe what if it happens sooner? Oh no, you want it to happen later. Yeah. So sometimes the timing can be different, so you gotta just check. So there you go. There you have it. On hover, it opens up, like the Airbnb passport opens up and it's in view. When you click on it, it opens the full book up, scales up like you want it, moves. So this is how you would make it. Now you can obviously change it. So before we end the tutorial, I would like to make it a little bit fun, like Airbnb has done in their current design. So to do that, I'll just gonna make this as a spring animation, and now it has a springiness to it. As you can see, we can make that on the shadow too. So the shadow changes, like it increases and then lessens depending on how the book is open. Forgot to mention something. So on mouse over, we are adding a shadow. So we also need to remove that. So what you can do is duplicate this, bring this under mouse out, and just make the fill as 0. And now on hover, the shadow comes up, but on hovering out of the container, the shadow goes away. So the spring animation is there. There are different kinds of animation. You can do whatever style you like. This is just the basic of how the thing is done. I will show you another variation of this. So just to make it look more like the Airbnb one. So let's suppose this is a book library, and you can click on the book to select the book, and it opens up a bit. And there is no hover interaction on this one, because on like an actual phone you can't actually hover on things, so that didn't work out. So that's why I made this one, and you can click on it, it opens up. You have a close book button just to make it even more clear how you have to close the book. You click on it and it closes back up. So that's it. That's how you make the Airbnb password animation, and hope this video was helpful to you and you'll be using this interaction with your future projects. Don't forget to do the stuff you do with YouTube videos, liking, subscribing, sharing, and if you find this video helpful, or like you find we can do this even in a better way, drop that down below in the comment section, and stay tuned for more videos like this, and see you in the next video.